Welcome to Narrate Your Story TV. I am your host, Dr. Christy Iwujugu, and this is the show that we do every Monday at 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's right, every Monday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. This is the show that I bring experts all over the globe to share with you tips and strategies and how to up level both in your life as well as in your business. And I have an amazing guest joining me today, all the way from Maryland. But before I tell you about my guest, when I am not doing this show, I'm helping female entrepreneurs to level up on their presentation. That's right. So that they can be seen as the expert that they are, so that they are able to enroll more of their ideal clients with ease. Please help me in joining me in welcoming our guest. And let me tell you a little bit about my guest, Dr. Barrett Matthews. He is the World Ambassador, Civility Ambassador. He is a three-time author, the author of Why Didn't You Do It? Why haven't you get it done? I'm sorry. And also the author of 50 Shades of Wealth and a call to action, which is going to tell us about the call for action today. So, your audience, please, everyone, put your hands together and help me welcome our guest, our special guest star today, Dr. Barrett Matthews. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Christy. I appreciate it, Dr. Christy, for having me on today. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, thank you for joining us all the way from Maryland. And wow, man, you're doing amazing, amazing, amazing work out there. And thank you for the work that you do. So today we're gonna dive into the work that you do. But before we do, people see you right now all over doing amazing work, and they are wondering, can I do it? It's easy for me. It's easy for him to understand, even when you're working with people, but he doesn't understand where I came from. So pull the shade just a little bit and tell us. I said it's always in the valley that people learn their greatest lessons. And you have to walk from the valley before you get to the mountaintop. How was that walk in the valley for you? Please share.
Well, and the valley is different for everybody, and I'm glad you brought that up. That's a great question because it's different for everybody. Your journey is not the same as someone else's journey, and you have to realize that first of all. Because one of the things that we tend to do is compare ourselves to what other people are doing, and for me, my valley was shaped more around, I should say, how do I put this? Expectation. That's what I should say. Expectation. And it was expectation brought on by myself. It was expectation by my family, my friends. And I was always the quote unquote, I should say, goody two shoes of the crew. I didn't smoke, didn't drink, never did drugs. Still, don't smoke, don't drink, don't do drugs. Don't get me wrong. I'm no angel. I've done plenty of things I'm not proud of in my life. But the thing is, I was expected to be the one to first, get married, have kids, have a family, do all these great things. And I'm single. I have no kids. And my brother is the same. We're the same. We were both expected to do things. And in family and career, we were expected to do certain things. Went to college and so forth, and so my value was when I was in corporate America. I was working in television, used to work with CBS Sports, and I ran into what I call the isms of corporate America. When I say the isms, I mean sexism, racism, nepotism. I saw them all in one place, and I didn't like it. And people were saying that in order for you to move ahead, you had to, the old kiss up type of thing. I wasn't willing to do that. And I ended up, long story short, getting out of the media. I mean, getting out of television, I should say, at that time. And I got into financial services, but I was actually in that position, my own boss. And it was something new to me. And I did pretty well. I did pretty well at it. But it was still not what my family had expected of me. It was a little different. My friends, I don't know if they expected anything at that point, but it was always a journey in my head of trying to make them proud of me. That was part of my journey. And I had to realize it's not about making them proud of me. It's not about them. It's about making me proud of my accomplishments. It's about making God happy about what I do. And once I came to that realization, and for some people, like I said, the journey's different, but it's still going to be the same thing. You still got to make yourself happy, and you got to make God happy. If everyone else is irrelevant, everyone else is irrelevant. So once I got to that realization, it was easier for me to do whatever I had to do in work and in business and so forth without looking over my shoulder, wondering, what are they thinking of me? What are they seeing in me? Then I could focus on what I had to do. And God started blessing me more when I started doing that.
Awesome. Awesome. I'm just smiling as you are talking because I know what the type of nuggets you are about to let our viewers in on. So tell us, you come from media and you worked in media for so long. And I'm thinking, what is it about media? If you look at what media is today compared to what media used to be, what do you think about media right now?
Now, Chris, you know what my answer is going to be on this, but I'll tell it like this. When I worked in media, when I was in college studying media, and even growing up, you just saw it. It was like news media was about journalism. You had reporters who would dig into some stories, and they would report the facts to you. And that was pretty much it. Even in sports media, I'm a big sports fan. Sports media would tell the sports story, and it was supposed to make you happy, watching the sport and so forth. And even if athletes did, because let's face it, athletes have done things that they may not be proud of in their careers outside of the sport, but the reporters let them have their privacy. That has since changed.
Yes.
That has since changed. Now, news stories are about what kind of dirt can we dig up? How can we expose this person to show everybody that they are not a great person? What can we do to destroy their life, destroy their family, destroy their career, and proudly say, I'm the reporter behind it? What can we do to sensationalize the story? And I think today we have no longer hopped on the back of journalism, and we now are riding the horse of sensationalism. And it's about how much dirt can we dig up and how can we destroy someone and how fast can we do it? One of the things that I see a lot in the media is that, and when I say media, I'm talking social media too, because some of your audience members see this. I'm hoping none of them participate in this, but a lot of times we see something pop up on social media and we're quick to share it without investigating as to whether it's even true or not. And a lot of times it's bad news, because we don't share the good news that fast. We share the bad news. And we see something bad and we want to share it without investigating it. I can't tell you how many times I've had to fact check people because they reported stuff that was wrong, that was erroneous, that was an outright lie, but they wanted to be the first one to tell people instead of being correct. And I always say, it's too many people out there, they want to be first instead of being right. And I see it all the time. I just saw something this week that somebody posted that someone had died, and they hadn't died.
Wow.
They hadn't died, but they wanted to put that news out there. I had one of my a friend of mine at college. He said he posted something that I don't know if this is true or not. And I said, then why post it? Why put it out there if you don't know? But it's a fight to be the first one. And I don't know why that is so important to people, to be the first one instead of being correct. But you and I both know things like that can destroy someone's life.
Yes.
You start reporting bad things about them and they're not true, and you never looked into it. You just want to be the first one to do it. You could destroy someone's life by doing something like that, and you just don't know. And that's a problem I have with that social media. I see that sometimes with some of the run of the mill media. They will put news stories out there not knowing. Like right now, um, there's a story about a football player, and many of you may know him, Antonio Brown. It's being said that he faked his vaccination card. Um,
Wow.
that he put into the league so he could play football. Well, the person who put it out is his former chef. So
Oh,
no one
wow.
has validated whether it's true, but it's spread all over the news now. So, and don't get me wrong, Antonio Brown has not been an angel at all. But the thing is, now they're spreading something negative out because it's sensational.
It's
And
sensational.
they don't even know if it's true or not. Investigate the story, but see what they do now is they put out the bad news, then they investigate to see if it's true. And by that time, it could have destroyed something for someone. People have been known to take their own lives because of bad press out there, whether it's true or not. And this is how I see the media now. I'm very disappointed in what I see, and I see a lot of the media personalities. I see a lot of the media production people not taking responsibility for their actions and what is going on. They always say, "Oh well, we didn't do the crime." Yeah, you did do the crime. I mean, I look at and so you got me started now, Chris. I just want to let you know
No, go ahead.
that. But I look at when Kobe Bryant passed away in a helicopter crash. People were so quick to get that news out before his family had even been notified.
Yeah,
And
that
there
was
were
sad.
other families involved, and their families hadn't even been notified, but they were so quick to get that news out there. And then there were people out there who were taking pictures of the people's bodies who were ravaged by the helicopter crash. I mean, this society has gone in a different direction, and I really want to see it change. I really want to see it change to where we can start reporting good news, because there's a lot of good news out there. There are a lot of great things being done. People like yourself doing wonderful things to help people, and those things need to be done more often and need to be showcased and brought to people's attention, so we don't focus so much on what is negative. Because one of the things I realized a long time ago, Chris, is that negativity is stronger than positivity. And
Absolutely.
yeah, so if we are, well, I tell people, when you wake up in the morning, negativity is waiting for you. It's like, are you up yet? It's just waiting for you to get up. And so you have to feed your mind positive things, and you have to do that on purpose. And I think that it's important for us to every day focus. If you're gonna watch TV, you better watch something uplifting. If you're gonna listen to the radio, listen to something uplifting. If you're gonna read a book, read something uplifting. If you're gonna have friends, listen to me. Have friends around you that are uplifting, because your
Yes,
circle of friends can shape the way you think and do things.
absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, the media and me, we have a long standing relationship, but I'm very disappointed in it right now.
As you are talking, you are absolutely right, because I think that media has changed a lot. And that's probably one of the reasons I don't watch TV. I get
Mhm.
most of my news on when I want to listen to the news, I watch the news. I'll go to internet, look at the
Yeah,
news, listen to the news, and select exactly what I want to listen to. Did you hear
yeah.
what I said?
I
I
don't listen.
select only what I want to watch and what I want to listen to,
I don't blame you.
because it's garbage and is sensationalized. Absolutely. And it
You're
almost
right.
seems like, like you said, I want to be the first one. I want to be the first one rather than looking for. I want to make sure I have the correct information, because
Right.
people's life depend on this. It's no longer that. It's I want to be the first.
Yep.
And I felt so bad when Kobe died. Imagine that you don't even know that anything happened, and all of a sudden you seen it on the news. I can't
Or
even.
you're getting phone calls from people and you know nothing about it.
Oh my God, that was really sad. That was really sad. And I Well, I'm not gonna go down that road because I have my own pet peeve about
Yeah.
news media, and like you said, it's no longer what it used to be. You used to
Mm-mm.
sit down and watch the news so that you can get important information, and the
Yeah.
good news that people they're supposed to share rarely get shared. Whether you're talking about social media, whether you're talking about on the mainstream news, right?
Yeah.
It's rarely shared. There's a lot of amazing work people are doing all over the world, really, as a
No, you're
matter of
right.
fact. But you don't really see it. You see the garbage minute after minute. And it's like they camp out at your house. It becomes so big. It
Woo.
really seems like
Yes.
they
Yes.
are they are looking for information to fear to see where are we gonna get our next bad news.
I, I
Where's the next bad news?
I remember a movie years ago called Paparazzi, where this guy, it was a fictional story, but it was a movie star who was being harassed by the media and the paparazzi who wanted to just find sensational stories, and they caused his family to go through some strife. So he went on a rampage and started going after the paparazzi, and it was a crazy thing, but it was just one of those things that like everybody has a limit, and you can push people to a certain limit, and I think that's what that movie was about. And we have to just stop trying to destroy people's lives just so we can get our name on a byline and say, hey, I was the first one to do this. It's not that important.
You're now on a campaign, a movement, should I say, to get people to have a different perspective, a different view about being known, being seen, but more importantly, is writing your own script.
Hmm.
Because as we know it, when somebody writes your own script, they may twist it around and you may not be there
Yes.
to say what your reality is. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, I've been dubbed the media monarch. So what I'm going to be doing is going around the world, different countries, and talking to people about making them hear your voice. A lot of people have been disenfranchised and put in situations to where they have to let others tell their story, tell them what they should be thinking, tell them what they should be listening to. And I'm in America. America is one of those countries where that's happening. Like we were just talking about, the news stations, the radio stations, the newspapers, the blogs, the social media is still telling us what to think. So what I'm saying, look, this is our call to action. It's time for us to step up. It's time for us to start telling our story and controlling our own media. Now, what do I mean by that? By controlling our own media, when I started in media many, many years ago, if you wanted to be on a television show or radio show, you had to know a producer that thought you were important enough to put on there. If you wanted to be in a newspaper, you had to know an editor that thought your story was good enough to talk about. If you wanted to do a lot of things, you had to know someone. Well, that's changed. That's
Mhm.
changed completely. Now, for instance, we're on a streaming TV show right now that you don't have to ask anyone, can you put on? If you
Absolutely.
want to start a podcast, you can do your own podcast, and it works just the same as a radio show, except you don't have limits as to what you can talk about or time restraints. If you want to write, you can write your own book. I've written 3 books. I mean, I never thought I'd be writing a book in my life, but I've written 3 books. I'm working on 4 and 5 as we speak. I You can write a blog. You can have people follow you by writing a blog that people read every day. So now you can control your media. You can actually do a film with your iPhone. There are people that are doing that. You can control your own media. But too many of us, unfortunately, are still caught in the ways where we're waiting for someone to tell us what we should be thinking about. We're sheep, so to speak. And it's time for us to really have a call to action and say, look, you know what? It's time that I start telling this story. It's time that I start telling the good news that needs to be told. It's time that I start ignoring the negativity that they're trying to put into my brain to program me to think negatively. It's time that I start owning what is happening, what is being said about me, what is being said about my community, what is being said about my country, what is being said about the world. It's time for us to start thinking that God didn't put us here to be negative towards one another. He didn't. God put us here to be interdependent and support one another and love one another because God is love. So if we're spreading negativity, we can't sit there and say we're working in God's will if we're spreading negativity to one another, if we're trying to destroy one another, if we're trying to sensationalize everything so that we can make ourselves look good. That's ego. And ego is not, there's no place for ego. What we have to do is put ourselves behind it and start focusing on what the people need to hear. Now, sometimes when we tell the truth may make one person feel bad, make one person feel good. But if you're telling the truth with a purpose of serving everyone, then it can be a good thing. And I think that's one of the things we ought to be looking to do is tell the truth in the media, but tell the story in a way that brings people up, not brings people down. Like I said, everyone's not going to like it, but you're not there to make everyone like it. Just like I said earlier, I'm not here to please everybody. I'm here to do what I'm supposed to do to make me proud of myself and to make God proud of me. And if you question what you're putting out there is good, ask yourself, would God like this? Because that right there is the answer to all of them. If you think God would like it, then it's something that should be told. But don't sit there and say you're doing good when you know it's going to destroy someone's life by sensationalizing something. Don't do that. Understand that there's a place for everything and there's a time for everything. And we need to make sure that we're putting out the right things at the right time in the right place. And what I'm doing with Media Monarch is making sure that all over the world, people are able to get their message out to different people all the time. And everyone can control the media. When I say everyone, I mean people who are kings of countries to the person who is picking up trash. You can still get on your own webinar. You can still get on your own TV show. You can still get on your own podcast, write your own book, write your own blog. You have a message in you. Everybody does. Everybody has a message. God has given us all something unique. Spread your message. Keeping it inside is not helping a soul. Keeping it inside is not helping a soul, and it's not serving what God wanted you to do. Spread your message, spread it to everyone. With Media Monarch, what we're going to do is give everyone their own ability to do that through media. Because like I said, media has changed so much now, and it's now given everyone an opportunity to utilize it to serve one another.
You said it so well. My work with women in helping them narrate their story, because that's what I do. Mm-hmm. One of the challenges that I see is I'm not good enough. And oftentimes, not only am I not good enough, it's telling that story. They think they have to tell that story from a victim mentality. From a victim mentality. When you are telling a story from a victim mentality, it derails you. Your spirit is down. Yes. And oftentimes, that's why they don't want to tell the story, because you went through trauma. Whatever that happened in the past has already happened. And I'm not taking it lightly.
No, I know exactly what you're saying.
It has happened for you to take the lesson from that and share with somebody and uplift somebody and help somebody else who may have gone through the same thing or getting ready to do this, to go through the same thing, or right now going through the same thing. And through the process that I take them through, they begin to see that they are coming actually as a victor, not as a victim. And all of a sudden, it changes the perspective.
It does. You're right.
That they are somebody else's helper. All of a sudden, it changes the perspective. And the same thing happens in the news. That's why, like I said, I don't really care about watching the news anymore. And secondly, it's garbage, like I said, upon garbage, upon garbage, upon garbage. You can sit there the entire day in front of TV, watching TV, putting it inside your mind, and people sometimes don't think about it because it goes in subliminally. You don't even know it's going in. And it's to a certain extent, I think it's a time waster. Now, I don't have to think about watching.
They say it's called television because it tells you your vision.
Yes, because it's okay to watch the news, but then, like you said, it's so sensationalized, and we love
Mhm.
it. We can't get enough of it. Those garbage, we can't seem to
So,
get it
so much
enough
so that they
of
have it
it.
24 hours now, right?
Yes, 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 yes. So, as I was saying, coming from a victim mentality and coming from a victor mentality, two different things. The same
Very
story
important.
though, the same story though, it depends on how you tell the story. It
Hmm.
depends on how you tell the story. And sometimes you see people on stage, it's almost like they're getting ready to puke on you. It's almost like they're getting ready to puke on you. They're
Oh
supposed
God,
to be
yes.
lifting you up, not puke on you. But and
They don't bring you back up. Yeah.
they
They,
don't
they
bring
bring
you
you
back
down in
up.
that valley and they
And
never
it's
bring
like,
you
oh my God, I came in here to feel better now.
up.
My God, I'm
and,
worse than what
and they
I
got
when
everybody crying. And I'm like, no, that's not. No, I feel you 100%. It's funny because I think it was our good friend Dr. West said, I remember he said, if you can't tell your own story without crying, the story still owns you.
you're right.
You
You're
don't own
right.
the story. That doesn't mean you can't get emotional. But
Yes,
if you're in the middle of a story and you break down, the audience is not getting what they're supposed to get.
they're not. They're absolutely not. And that's one of the things I tell my clients is if you have to cry on stage, right? You haven't gotten over that story.
It's
Maybe
true. It's a fact.
that's not the story you should be telling at that time. Now,
True.
I also know that some people have mastered how to switch it on and switch it off
Hmm.
as part of their strategy. Some people have mastered how
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
switch it on and switch it off. I'm probably not one of those those individuals. But of course, you said it right. You can get emotional, and there's nothing about because some stories, depending on the type of story that you're sharing, it will bring back memories,
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
memory may not be always good.
Yeah.
So getting emotional is okay, but not tear up on stage and then have people bring you tissues. And so
Right,
now,
right, right. Yeah, because you don't own that story yet if you got to break down. But I mean,
no,
and it's one
no.
of those things that it's funny going back to the media. I remember I used to live in Atlanta, and this was when the Olympic bombing happened in Atlanta. And one of the news anchors, she started crying in
Wow.
the middle of the story. And I get it. And you see a bomb go off and she grew up in Atlanta. That was her hometown. I get it. She started crying and she couldn't believe it was happening there right before the Olympics. And she ended up losing her job.
Wow, really?
Hmm.
Oh wow, I can see the reason behind it.
I
I
can
mean,
see the reasons behind it. I can see both sides of it because it
yeah,
was
I
it
can
was
see both
shocking. It
sides
was.
too.
I mean, because it wasn't like something that she was trying to get a point across. It was an emotional state that just happened like that. It wasn't. It was one of those things. She was emotional about her hometown, and people were hurt, and from a bomb going off. I get it, but the news station was saying, "Hey, we can't deal with that." So it's
Mm.
just, and it's a different world now. I mean, it's so different, and the media is one of those things that I have a friend. My friend Myron Golden. He says CNN stands for continually negative news. So
That's a good name for it. That's a
right, right. So
that's a perfect good name for it.
because and it's like he said, and we got Sly as a Fox News. So it's just like because it's just one of those things that's all they want to do on these stations. And like I said, it doesn't matter which one it is, it's negative, negative, negative. They just want to pour it into you, and so that you don't have anything inside you to uplift.
So
And unfortunately, going back to what you do, a lot of the speakers think that that's the way to do it. I went to a conference some years ago, and a very, very, very famous speaker, I'm not going to mention their name, was
please don't.
teaching, yeah, was
Please don't.
teaching the class about how to tell your story. And they had everybody digging down into stuff. I mean, I'm not lying. Me and a friend of mine, we're in the class. She and I were the only ones who weren't crying.
Wow. It's hard. It's not something, listen, it takes couple of days. It may even take weeks. It's not something you do overnight, especially when we're talking about trauma. So I understand. It's a process. Telling you a story, it's a process, and that's the reason a lot of people don't want to go there, because it's
That's
like you're
true.
scared.
That's true. But I'm just not of the belief that in order to tell your story, you have to go down to a valley and bring people crying. It doesn't have to, like, for instance, I tell people, I didn't live a hard life. I didn't live
Mm,
a hard life. My parents loved me. I had both my parents. They loved me. They took care of me and my siblings. Did we get everything we wanted? No, we got everything we needed. And I'm still very close with my parents. I'm probably gonna go visit them tomorrow. But it's one of those things that I didn't have a hard life. And I remember I was talking to a speaker coach one time, and I told him that, and he said a lot of people come to him with that story, and they think that they don't have a story because they didn't have a hard life, because they can't
mm,
make people cry.
right.
And it's one of those, and a lot of people who are watching right now may be thinking that, but the good news is what people need to hear too. They need to know that they can live a good, happy, healthy life and help one another. They need to know that. They don't need to know all the negative drama and trauma that people live through. We can all embrace some type of trauma in our life, but
Yeah.
we need to embrace the good stuff more, the blessings more, and there's more of it out there if we just look for it and report it.
And you talked about it so well. I think oftentimes, even when you have trauma, like I said, and I don't take it very lightly,
Mhm.
because some of them can kill you depending
Yeah.
on what type of trauma that you go through. But again, it's how you tell the story that will make a difference. You can have the same story. One person will tell it from the standpoint of, I am a victim and I am still a victim, because
Mm.
oftentimes, again, I don't take it very lightly. And
Mhm.
oftentimes they're addicted to the story. And once,
Ooh.
as long as you are addicted to that story, you will always find
Ooh.
an evidence
Ooh.
to support your story. As long as you are addicted to that story, you will always find an evidence to support that story.
Mm.
And
Ooh.
sometimes it's hard to let go. It's hard to let go, because now you're getting out of your comfort zone. Once you let go, you don't have anything to hold on to. Once you
Ooh.
let go, people won't empathize with you. Once you
That
let
is
go,
so
it's
true.
almost like you are naked. You don't have any clothes, because that story is covering you.
Mm.
Taking it off means you no longer have any covering. And
Wow.
it's so subliminal, people
It
don't
is. It,
understand. People
yes.
don't even understand, because the person that is telling it from the victim point may be still crying. Is it hard? Yes. But what if you can tell that story from a victor, as a victor, right? Like you went through it, it's already passed.
Yeah.
And it's a process, I'm telling you. And
And
therapy has a place for it, that's okay. But really, for the most part, it's something you have to work within yourself. I think most of us, very few people have not gone through something in their life. But
but
something doesn't always have to be told in a way that people are going, oh my God,
right.
right? Right? I mean, you sharing it with people so that they can see themselves in
Yeah.
you, and you're talking about how you overcame, so that they will know how to overcome. As
But,
simply as that.
but Dr.
But
Christie, you hit on something very important there. You talked about the subliminal stuff. And
yeah,
imagine being in a country, it could be the United States, it could be South Africa, it could be in Cuba, whatever. But imagine where the leadership of that country
mm,
is a proponent of spreading negativity. And imagine the subliminal messages that sends to you when all you hear coming from the leadership is negativity. This is why I'm on a mission to change that, because we can control from within what's being put out, and we don't have to listen to that coming from the leadership. Because the leadership, I mean, look, we can talk about the past president, the recent president, the presidents before that. They all put out something in the media that other people didn't like, some more than others. But the thing is, the media, they love it.
I love it.
They love it because it gives them something negative to report on. And they love putting that information out there to the masses. They get their promotions, they get their bonuses, they get other assignments based on how much negative news they can put out. We need to flip the script. We need to flip the script because just like telling your story, you can decide which way you want to tell that story. You have control over how that story is told. Like you said, it's the same story, but which side of it are you going to tell? And how are you going to put it out there to the masses? Because that determines how they're going to consume information. That also now shows how they're going to disseminate the information once they've received it. If you hear positive news all the time, when you tell it to someone else, it'll be positive news. If you hear negative news, when you tell it to someone else, it'll be negative news. But how did you receive it in the first place? Was it put out to you as negativity, like a lot of these news outlets do right now? Or was it put to you as a positive, uplifting story to bring you up? And I hate to say it, but a lot of it is politicized. And a lot of the people in office in different states, different countries are putting out this negative news, and they want the media to buy right into it and go with them and spread negative news because they want, I'm going there. They want to scare the people. They want to scare the people because they want them to be dependent on the leadership. And if they're dependent upon the leadership, they don't have their own voice. And if they don't have their own voice, their message never gets told, and they can just wallow in that negativity forever and ever.
You know, as you are talking, I'm still thinking about this whole thing. The media and their narratives. And it seems to me, watch this.
Mm-hmm.
When you have good news, people don't pay so much attention to it.
Right.
But when you have bad news, everybody is trying to get to the bad news, trying to get this.
Everybody. Yeah.
Everybody's trying to get this scoop.
We've all been guilty of it.
Listen, we've all been guilty of it. And it's so tempting. It is so tempting. Even on social media. It is so, oh my God, what is it? Like sometimes you have to shut it down. I really have learned to just shut it down completely and just go straight. It's very tempting. I'm going to be honest about it. It's very tempting because it pops out right away. It's just like, oh my God, what is that?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so sad that we have the world have. It's not just in the United States.
No, it's all over. It's all. That's why I said I'm working with the whole world to do this, because if we can all just have, let's think about it like this. Let's say we had just one day where the news stations only reported positive stories. One day, all over the world. Just think of that would have happened. I mean, think about how amazing that would be, because we have generations, not one generation, we have generations of people who would not know what that's like. Yeah. Just to see it for one day, how amazing would that be that we just only reported positive stories, uplifting stories? I mean, I know they're going to get back to it the very next day, but just, but if we could just see that for one day, imagine the change that could make, just to know that that is possible. And you know, you're talking about just one day. I also think that media has helped in one way or the other. Not knowing it again is subliminal. When you're watching those advertising, trust me, I didn't even get it. I get it now. When you're watching those advertising, it's going in, but you don't even know it's going in. Yep. You don't even know that it's going in. Yep. But I think to a certain extent has contributed to what we're talking about. Now, what we're going through in the world now, what are we talking about? More suicide, more divorce,
everything. I think media to a certain extent has contributed
Oh yeah.
to it. Whether we're talking about child abuse, whether we're talking about abuse of any kind, I think that media has contributed to it. It's not just on news station news, it's about social media, everything,
I
news
agree.
media everywhere.
I agree.
Because maybe you've been having that thought in your mind, but you don't know whether it's possible or not. Or maybe you've never heard that thought in your mind. Somebody killing somebody, somebody abusing somebody, somebody doing this, and all of a sudden you open up the internet, you open up the news, and that's all you see. They even go to the extent of talking about how that happened, how that
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
like. Then you sitting there, oh, I can do this. To a certain extent, I think it has contributed.
Oh,
And
I agree with you. It's 100%, 100%. I mean, like you said, in advertisements and TV shows and movies, it shaped our mind. One of my mentors, he pointed out something to me, and that even like in movies, see, we have been conditioned to think that
yeah.
all wealthy people are evil. So
Mhm.
the villain in most of the movies is always some wealthy person. So we've been subliminally, we think wealthy people are evil. So what does that do? That tells you that you aren't supposed to be wealthy because you don't want to
Mm,
consider yourself
huge.
an evil person. And so it creates a paradigm. So you're saying to yourself, you're saying to all your friends, I want to be wealthy. But subliminally, you say, I'm a good person, so I can't be wealthy. So you don't do the things that are going to make you wealthy, but you tell your friends, I want to be wealthy. It's a contradiction because we've been subliminally brainwashed into thinking that we shouldn't have wealth because wealth is bad. Wealth is not bad. If you're a good person, we can have wealth and still be a good person with wealth.
So, from your standpoint as the media monarch, what are the things, or give us at least three things that if somebody is watching us now and they're saying, so where do I start? I have no I hear what you're saying, Dr. Matthews, but where do I start?
Well,
How do I use that to promote myself? What can you say?
one of the things I do is I consult with people on getting a podcast started. I mean, and I'm not. I don't want to step on your toes. If you don't mind, I don't know how to get in touch with
Go
me.
ahead, please.
They can text the word podcast. Just text the word podcast to 929-244-4323. Just text the word podcast to 929-244-4323, and we can have a talk about setting up a podcast. Also, I'm doing a create your podcast weekend to show people how to get a podcast going. Now, the reason I'm emphasizing a podcast because a podcast is easier to do than writing a book. It's easier to do than having a TV show. It's easier to do than putting a film together. Why? Because you're just talking about what you love. You can do that. All you just hit record and talk about what you love. You can start a podcast. Now, what it also does at the same time, it creates content. So now that you have that content in the podcast, you can do like Dr. Christie here and record it with video too. Now you got two pieces. Now you got video and audio. You can transcribe it, turn it into a book, turn it into a blog. You can do all those. You can have another camera showing how you put it all together and create a film, a documentary about how you created your podcast. All from that one situation. That can create so many different forms of media. But sit down in front of your computer, hit record, start talking. That's the easiest way to do it, through a podcast. And one of the things I do is I tell people that's the best way just to get started. Just get started because you have a message, and the longer you sit on it, the more you're hurting people that need to hear it.
And so then you were talking about what I do. I can have two different contents. I get it. But I want people that are watching us right now.
Mm-hmm.
They are shy. They just don't like this whole thing. It's not for everybody. How can they get started?
No, when you say they don't like this whole thing of what?
Being on camera.
They don't have to be on camera. They could just get in front of the camera with a microphone and just start talking. There's other
Okay.
things you can do as well. It's something called an audiogram, where it gives you you can have a video image, not you talking on camera. You can have an image of you, just a picture of you, and you can actually set it to where people click on it on social media. It will play your podcast while they're still looking at an image of you.
All right, everybody, that is awesome. And if you want to know how to get started on podcast, please contact Dr. Matthews, and he will be able to help you do just that.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you all for watching us. And this is the show again that I bring to you every Monday, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Every Monday, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And don't forget to come join us, because this show is for who? That is for you, for all of us to up level, both in our life as well as in our business. And Dr. Matthews, I want to take the time to thank you so much.
I thank
Now,
you.
take the stage and say the last word before we get out of here.
Well, the last word I want to tell people is, as you see, it's a call to action. Your voice needs to be heard. There are millions and millions of people who want to hear your message. They just don't know that you want to get out there. If you're in business, there are millions of people that want to pay you. They just don't know you're out there. The media is probably the best way, not probably, it is the best way for you to get your message to masses of people in a short period of time and to benefit from that. The people need you. I always say, if you feel that you have something impactful to offer the world, how long are you going to make them wait? Get it out there. People need to hear it. My book, my third book, is called A Call to Action. So get it out there.
Love it.
It's called A Call to Action. Get it out there so people can do it. Get your message out there. Take action on it. I can't emphasize that more. If you want to start a podcast, if you want to talk about it, text the word podcast, 929-244-4323. If you're interested in finding out about learning how to start it more, like I said, I'm doing a Create Your Podcast weekend, November 26th through the 27th. You can just go to createyourpodcastweekend.com. Real simple. Createyourpodcastweekend.com. But I want to get you guys started. That's the easiest way to get started. But don't wait. Don't keep saying, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. The world, the graveyard is filled with people who were going to do it, but never did it. And I hate the word potential. When people talk about potential, that means someone hasn't done it yet. Don't be someone who leaves this earth with potential. Leave this earth pouring out everything that you have. Share your message with the world. This is my call to action for you. That is my last word.
Thank you so much. Audience, our listeners, thank you for joining us again. As we close, I want to take the time and say thank you for those of you that have been purchasing my new book, The Almanac of Rising Stars. I really appreciate your support. I'm going to put the link for individuals to continue to purchase that book, because I know that it will add value in your life. With so many authors in that book, you're going to get a lot of nuggets in different aspects of your life. So I'm also going to put a link for you to schedule to chat with me if you want some help to help you narrate your story. Until next time, everybody, listen, don't forget that the whole world is waiting for you to rock your brilliance. Thank you, Dr. Matthews. And
thank you, Dr. Christie.
Bye-bye now.